most car lifts are an afterthought. Atlas Elite Lifts designs architecturally refined car lift systems for luxury homes, high-end condominiums, premium dealerships, and commercial spaces. No bulky industrial equipment, no compromise on design, just seamless integration and precision engineering. So beautiful, it's Batcave ready. You truly have to see an Atlas to believe it. Visit www.atlaselitelifts.com today.
I decided to go to therapy, try it out. And I canceled my first 4 appointments. I made them, drove there, canceled from the parking lot 4 times.
Yeah. Wow.
I was terrified because nobody knew what I was.
Sure.
So I finally go in and I meet this guy. His name was Jorge. And he was the first human I'd really ever told everything to. And I was crying and he was crying, and it was just pouring out and just heavy and hard. And he kind of looked at me after I'd finished. He said, "Kris," he says, "do you know what I do the other 7 days a week?" Because he was a therapist who did pro bono once a week, so it was free.
Yeah.
And I said, "I have no idea." And he said, "I work at the Edmonton Max prison." And I said, "Okay." And he says, "I've heard stories similar to yours from the men that I work with every day, and they end up with me."
The great Mark Cuban once said, "Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal." And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to episode 324 of the Business Development Podcast. And today, it is my absolute pleasure to bring you Kris Marks. Kris is a mental health visionary, keynote speaker, musician, and the powerhouse CEO behind VIV Mental Health, a certified psychological health and safety advisor with the Canadian Mental Health Association. Kris brings an unmatched depth of expertise and lived experience to the conversation of psychological safety, leadership, and mental wellness in high-stakes environments. With a 13-year career as a Red Seal journeyman machinist and a history of performing on stages across Canada as a professional musician and comedian, Kris defies every stereotype about what it means to work in mental health. His approach is raw, relatable, and rooted in reality. He's not just educating leaders, he's showing them how to lead with empathy, strength, and authenticity. But what makes Kris truly unforgettable is his story. A survivor of trauma, homelessness, and a suicide attempt, Kris fought his way back and turned that pain into purpose. And today he builds bridges between workplaces, schools, and communities, offering tools that don't just tick boxes, but change lives. Whether through his groundbreaking instrumental health program, powerful keynotes, or leadership training sessions, Kris is transforming how we talk about mental health in Canada. He's not here to soften the blow. He's here to spark a movement. Kris, it's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show.
Kelly, you're going to make me blush before my weekend here. Thank you very much. What a pleasure. What a privilege to be here. It's good to see you, my friend.
It's really good to see you too, man. All I can say is that after our first introduction conversation, I think I was left a little bit stunned and in awe for about 2 hours.
Wow. Well,
I just was...
Hopefully we can recreate that today too.
Yeah.
But thank you for the generous introduction. I really appreciate that.
No. Thank you for the work you're doing. You know, we talked about it really quickly before the show, but I genuinely think that mental health is the topic of the 2020s. I think when people look back at, one of the biggest impacts on the world during this time, I think it's going to be mental health front and center, because
I agree.
COVID changed absolutely everything, I think, with regards to the way that we show up in the world with the kindness that we treat people with, the empathy we treat people with. And I kind of think that the people that don't make those changes, they're going to be left in the dust.
Well, I think you nailed it. Like COVID was such a catalyst for a shift in mindset, just a shift in, I think, people's personal values and their priorities. It gave a lot of time to a lot of people to really think about what was important. And if we're gonna find a silver lining from those 3 years, 5 years, whatever it was, that it was that we're coming at it with like a human-centric approach. So
I love that you said human-centric approach, because, dude, I was talking about it and I was making predictions for 2025. And my prediction was this. I said, if 2023 was the year of AI, and it really was,
yeah,
and 2024 became so centered around personal branding, everyone I talked to was talking personal branding. I made a prediction in November of 2024 that 2025 was going to be the year of human-centric approach, that we've gone so far in this like crazy AI direction that people are just going to be like needing human-to-human interaction, human focus. And the word I used at that time was human-centric approach. So I think it's really cool.
We're on the same page, brother. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. You've had a pretty incredible story. You've had a really interesting pivot too, which I find amazing. And we're talking to a lot of entrepreneurs today, and I think they're going to want to better understand how you went from, essentially a tradesman machinist to an entrepreneur of your own, to a completely different style of entrepreneur as well. You didn't start a machine shop.
Yep.
You went a completely different direction. And so lead us down the whole story. Take us back to being a kid. Walk us through to today. Who is Kris Marks?
Oh gosh. Okay, strap in.
Strapping in.
First of all, I mean, we'll bring it back full circle, but I think you laid the groundwork really well, and then set me up for a couple of surprises on what you said. So, gosh, going back to a kid, like I was just a typical Alberta boy, born and raised in Edmonton.
Yeah.
My mom and dad had me pretty young. I was in the wedding photos. So
amazing.
Oops. But, my parents were, they were young, but they did the best they could. I grew up playing hockey. My dad was a fantastic hockey player. He was my hockey coach. And mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she was involved with school stuff and community, and it was great. And they introduced my little brother when I was about 9.5. But around that time, their marriage was starting to show cracks, and I think that was the catalyst. They decided to part ways, and it wasn't the most amicable split. Divorce is really tough. So
yeah.
So onward we go with a split family, and then a blended family. My dad got remarried, and I grew up playing. I started playing guitar when I was 12. Played hockey my whole life, and just no notes up until there. But I think divorce for any kid, for most kids, that was kind of my first trauma, and it was really tough because I loved them both so much, and life was good, and now there's some animosity and just things that kids had to navigate, and they were doing the best they could, but they never really checked in with us little ones. My brother was too small, but so I internalized a lot of that. I was raised kind of a bootstraps kid, and my dad was a tough guy, a guy I looked up to. He internalized a lot, and so that's what the model was. And for a lot of boys, that's what it is, right? We just tough it out. So fast forward to high school, I was pretty outgoing and started at a new school, moved from Edmonton to Sherwood Park, which is just kind of a little hamlet outside of Edmonton. But for a teenager, it's like moving to Florida. All my friends got left behind.
Yeah.
And I was trying to connect with new students and make some friends. And, there was an incident that happened in grade 10. It happened on school grounds, but we used to call it boys being boys. And, I could hold my own pretty well. And it escalated into an assault, a sexual assault.
Wow.
That was something that I just kept to myself as well. And it really crossed a lot of wires in my mind. I was a straight A student, honors, kind of headed for university like the rest of my family. And by the time I graduated, it was, I had a different attitude. Life at home was tough. Was asked to leave home at 18, a couple weeks after grad. And that was a big shift. I wasn't ready, didn't have any life skills, no money saved. And as the first one of my friend group who had their own place after high school, we had a lot of fun for a couple of years, just winging it. And when I was 20, I came home one day and there was an extra lock on my apartment door, and I had paid rent and estranged from my family, kind of disconnected from my friends. Like, if you're watching this podcast, my hair will tell you I'm a little bit older. So back then, like, didn't have a cell phone or car or anything. And I spent a period of time unhoused. And that was a big shift to go from like a pretty well-to-do middle-class family to that. So struggled with depression, especially since the incident in high school. I had trouble with my sleep. And I tried to take my own life when I was 20 and survived, obviously, and kept that secret as well. So here I am as this outgoing guitar party guy, and I had a lot of secrets. And I was kind of showing up inauthentically. I got really good at masking. And, when we dive into the mental health side of it, I was showing up in whatever way that whatever friend I was with or friend group wanted, right? So if they like the Guitar Hero guy, I'd show up as that. If they want the close friend or the ride or die, I'd show up as that. But I really had no identity, and really struggled in my 20s just to manage my own mental health and what career. I was a bartender. I worked at Staples. I worked at Denny's and Earl's. I was a door-to-door salesman.
Yeah.
Didn't know what I wanted. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, geez, I was this really smart kid, wanted to be a teacher or a marine biologist because of Free Willy, right? So, and had all these dreams, but I was just scraping by. And then I was 24. I reached out to my dad. I reconnected with him and I said, hey, I'm looking for a change in my life. And he knew what was going on. And at first, there was some friction there, but he said he was living in Grand Prairie at the time. And I like to joke, like, nobody moves to Grand Prairie to start their life over.
Yeah.
But he said, I play hockey with a guy who owns a machine shop. I could probably get you a job as a laborer. And I moved up there, bought me a Greyhound ticket, and I left my party ways behind and started to get my feet down. So it was 2007, 6, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Alberta was booming. They couldn't find enough people. So I was cutting steel and my boss said, hey, you're a smart guy. I'll put you on a lathe and see how you do. And being an artist, I was that kid who wrote poetry and songs and I play music. It was like this metal art and very precise. And that's why my hair looks like the before picture on a box of Just for Men. Stressful at times too, right?
Yeah.
And but I liked it. I liked it enough. I liked that kind of work too. So got my journeyman ticket, moved back to Edmonton. And this whole time, I was still keeping these like dark secrets and the things that I struggled with. And it sort of bubbled up in my early 30s. And I went back. I shouldn't say I went back, but I decided to go to therapy, try it out. And I canceled my first 4 appointments. I made them, drove there, canceled from the parking lot 4 times.
Yeah. Wow.
I was terrified because nobody knew like what I was.
Sure.
So I finally go in and I meet this guy. His name was Jorge. And he was the first like human I'd really ever told everything to. And I was crying and he was crying and it was just pouring out and just heavy and hard. And he kind of looked at me after I'd finished. He said, Kris, he says, do you know what I do the other 7 days a week? Because he was a therapist who did like pro bono once a week. So it was free.
Yeah.
And I said, I have no idea. And he said, I work at the Edmonton Max prison. And I said, okay. And he says, I've heard stories like similar to yours from the men that I work with every day, and they end up with me. He said, it's remarkable that you've had healthy relationships, you got a trade, you put yourself through NATE, reconnected with your family. And that was a pivotal moment for me. That was the first context I ever had, for somebody who's just has their head down and they're just a lot of people are just winging it and hoping. And that was the first context I had that what I'd done was something to be proud of.
Yeah.
So he sold me. I went back, took more therapy, and I switched therapists a couple times, just to get a better fit as I grew. And anyway, got a handle on my mental health, figured out the sleep thing. I used to suffer from night terrors pretty regularly.
Yeah. And,
when you're working in the trades, not sleeping can be like a physical health and safety issue too.
Yes.
So I didn't, in that culture, some of the tropes are true. I was part of a lot of it too. I own that. But it was tough to kind of call your boss and be like, hey, I'm not mentally well. To be on a lathe that could kill me 6 ways from Sunday. So you'd lie and pretend to be sick and I'd flake out of jobs. So that cycle weighed on me. And then we're talking about COVID. So I had this long tenure in the trades and it was doing well. Got laid off like a lot of us. And I had about 50 weeks of EI, just about a full year, which was, good during COVID. And my body was starting to kind of give up on the trades. And you can see me right now, like standing at my desk. And that's kind of residual from being a machinist, because I was freestanding for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I'm used to it. Like my body
Yes.
doesn't like to sit for too long.
Yeah.
So anyway, I decided to go back to school. I enrolled at Athabasca University. Around the time, like when Twitter was still cool, I had grown a following tweeting about mental health, like men's mental health, or what it was like to go to therapy. And I like connecting with people. I always have. And like every other white guy during COVID, I started a podcast.
Yes.
And that gained some traction too. And I would bring on guests like way above my pay grade to kind of translate, their expertise into that layman sort of way. And anyway, I thought, maybe there's something here. But I thought to work in mental health, you had to be a resource. You had to be a counselor or a therapist. And I was willing to, put that work in and do it. But then I had like 20 weeks of EI left and 7 years of school left. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And, I got an opportunity from a woman whose comms person found me on Twitter and said, hey, you should follow this guy. And she does, respectful workplace training. Her name's Michelle Devlin. And she's been my mentor since day one, and saw how I connected with people. And she said, hey, do you want to come co-facilitate? So as the callback, I always wanted to be a teacher. I taught music, in the evenings over the years.
Yeah.
And so I'd work in a little bit of mental health conversations into like the harassment and bullying topics that we'd cover together. And VIV was kind of born, and I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew that maybe there was a place for me to, speak, but like teach and develop content to kind of change the way that this topic is taught and presented. And the artist in me really enjoys that. I like being creative with how it goes. And I do get to speak about my personal experiences. So, I come at this work honestly.
Yeah.
But the professional expertise side with leadership training and that, I put my due diligence in there as well for a guy who wasn't involved in that culture. I was in the trades, so it was a new world for me. And Kelly, I'm a big tryhard. So I really thought, why not me? I'll just do the best that I can and over deliver where I can. And almost 4 years later, VIV has grown. We've doubled every year. We don't advertise, we're active on socials and that, but it's really a human centric. I was the face of VIV for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people, I was lucky. People wanted to work with me. I'm not everybody's flavor, but I got opportunities, and now VIV has grown into, its own thing. It's a social enterprise. We have a for-profit side. We do a ton of community work. And our 3 pillars are like you mentioned, like communities, classrooms, and workplaces. And we give equal value to all of those because I think they're so integrated. So that's kind of where we are today. And it's surreal. This is cathartic for me, Kelly, to like talk it out and be like, oh, look at that. Look how far I've come. But I'm pretty blessed and very grateful.
Quick pause here, and thank you for tuning in and supporting the show. I want to recognize Hyperfab, a Canadian precision fabrication company built by the team behind Hypervac Technologies, supporting projects in both Canada and the United States. They focus on high-quality sheet metal, fast turnaround, and solving complex fabrication challenges when it matters most. Hyperfab is proud to be our title sponsor for 2026. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to the show. Man, yeah. Every time I hear that story, and I want to poke a little further into the story as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But every time I hear you say that, I'm just like, first off, thank you for being here. For anybody struggling with mental health to the point of suicide, we're lucky. We're fortunate and lucky that you are still with us. And, to anybody listening, if you're feeling that way, 100%, there's an impact you still have to leave in this world. There's still something incredible. You can just take this story from Kris today and hear how he went from such a dark place in his life to now making such a massive impact in other people's lives. And that can be you too. That is you too. I think we forget sometimes how impactful everybody's life really is. It really is. Everybody has a massive impact on the people around them, and in some cases, across continents. And I think it's really important to remember that everybody has value.
You're so right. And thank you for that. I mean, gosh, yeah, like I can take myself back. I put in a lot of years of very quiet work and healing to kind of get to the point where, in some of my keynotes, I do share my story or podcasts like this. But that wasn't overnight. I had a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And but it's worth it. And it wasn't all work either. I shouldn't frame it that way. Because that first one was pretty heavy, but to have someone look at your life objectively and be outside of what you're experiencing and kind of tell you about it is really neat. And it's not scary. It's just information. Like it's just inventory of who you are. And I found that really empowering. And, we go through life, we still make mistakes. I still have tough days.
Yeah.
But there's so much that you can do and offer. And Kelly, like I'm going to be honest, like my story is not special. Like we all have a life story. Anyone in the world could come on your podcast and like blow our minds with an experience or a lesson that they learned. It's just my story. But there's a lot that I've grown from. Like I wasn't always this person. I used to look back with a lot of regret on some things and with stuff with my parents, even like mending that bridge took real effort. And I commend them. I love them so much.
Yeah.
And, but it was hard. I had to realize that, they were doing the best they could too. And just like any relationship in your life, it's worth fixing and there's lots that people can contribute. Yeah. That's what I have to say about that.
I want to go back to 20s. Like not go back to 20s. 20s was up and down, but
yeah.
I want to go back to
Let's go.
Being 20. I did lose friends in my 20s. One to suicide for sure. One to a heart attack. Others to drunk driving. 20s is hard. I genuinely think as a man, the most risk any young person is at is in their early 20s. I think that you think you're invincible. You're doing the stupidest things. You're not exactly like thinking about the future. I'm a very different person today. Honestly, at 20, I couldn't have even predicted the person I am today. There's no way. I didn't even know what this was. Right? Like,
yes.
It's crazy to think back to being 20 and then kind of forward project yourself to today and realize that like you are somebody completely different than you ever thought you would be. And I think that's the same for everybody in their 20s. It's such like a weird place where you don't know who you are, what you're going to do, what you don't know. A lot of the times you are living for the weekend, you're living for that party, right?
Yep.
And you're going to live forever. And I just wanted to mention that like during that time, I did lose people. I lost a lot of people, a lot of close people. And it was to stupid things like that, right? To a future that I think, I guess what I'm getting at with this is I wish those people were still with us. I wish that they could have seen their futures and their story was similar to yours. It just ended in a different way.
That's really eloquently put. And even going back to high school, ask any high school kid what, their whole world is their friend group or what people think of them. And I was one of them. Yeah. And you just have no idea yet how far your antennas are going to reach and how much of the world you're going to experience and how much you're going to grow. You have no idea. And it's hard to explain that to somebody because it's like trying to find the edge of the universe that's always expanding, right? So I'm a big space nerd too. So
we bring on anybody from space industries we can find these days.
Yeah. So the dark matter of life is what's pushing the universe further. But that was really beautifully put. And then, I lost people along the way too. And I also ruminated over what would have happened had I been successful and the impact that would have had on, my brother and my parents and that my grandmother, who I'm very close to still. She's like my best friend. And she was the one who always believed in me and remembered the honors kid. And so I credit her a lot. But even though our stories are all very different, there's people out there who've never experienced what I've been through. And the emotions that we feel and along the way, that's where we connect with people.
Yeah.
So you don't have to know what it's like to be unhoused to know what it feels like to feel really alone and given up on. That's where you can be compassionate with people. You don't have to understand the details so much.
Yeah.
But we all know what it's like to feel overwhelming joy, or to have somebody come back in your life that you've missed so much, or to be just up against it and hopeless. That we know what that feels like, fundamentally. So if you're trying to connect with somebody, that's where you start. Don't sweat the details so much, but that's where you empathize.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, like you said before, we're all hiding. We're all hiding, right? Like being our, it's so funny. I talk about it. I literally have another live show that we do called Authentic Hustle. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But we talk about authenticity a lot and how it's really hard. And even when people are being authentic, there's still stuff they're holding back. There's still,
100%.
there's still your authentic face, sure, but like there's still certain things that I'm not willing to talk about, that other people are not willing to talk about. And it doesn't mean that you're being inauthentic. I think it just means that we all have to decide how authentic we want to be with the world based on our own comfort level. And over time, that might change. You've spent so much time practicing being authentic that I think you really do show up in this, I'm going to bear it all to the world. Talk to me. How did you get there? How were you able to go from somebody who had hid something for so long, had been through so much trauma, to the person you are today? I can't imagine what that transformation has to be like, and that bravery has to be. Like, how do you find the bravery to be the person you are today?
That's a loaded question. I'll caveat it by saying that, yes, it appears that I'm very open and authentic, and to a degree, I certainly am. I've grown lots. But you're right. I don't share everything, and no one should. Yeah, like, have boundaries. And my therapist gave me the best advice. So we'd seen each other for a few years, and I told her about VIV and kind of what I wanted to do with my story. And she said, don't ever share anything that you haven't healed from. So that motivated me so much.
I like that. I like that as just a guideline.
And it motivated me to really put in some work so that I could be kind to myself telling that story. It's embarrassing. Like, really, I'm not proud of it.
It's hard.
But I mean, it's part of you. So what's in it for me? And I'm going to be honest, and I share this with audiences too. Like, it's cathartic. For me, it's very validating. All the quiet work that I did, all the mistakes I made, and the times I spent in my own head, all that stuff is validated when I got to the point I'm like, okay, I can share this and maybe there's some use to it. But I'm cautious, and we should all have boundaries, Kelly. Like, you don't have to go up on a stage and share your trauma and life story. That's not how I frame it, I guess. It's a privilege to have that space and to see it make an impact, but there is something in it for me too, because it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm practicing. I wasn't always like this. I wore a lot of masks, and I lied a lot, and I showed up as whatever version of Kris that I thought people needed or expected. And it's been a real journey to atone for some of that, and to be humble enough to kind of embrace growth and give myself permission to be more true to myself. It's a spectrum, right? It's not, we shouldn't frame it as like, how did you become authentic? It's like, I'm not there yet. Like, it's a fish you can't catch.
Yeah.
So you just work, you point your needle towards it and you work towards it. But it is very liberating. You don't have to remember as much. You can just kind of show up, and there's downsides too, Kelly. Like, there are people who are quite taken aback by authenticity. And that's a real barrier. And that's something that doesn't get talked about a ton.
Yeah.
But there are people who can't wait to be themselves, and there's pushback, right? So
I love that you brought up that it's not that there are people that push back. It's so funny because we were literally talking about this on this week's show. And I was talking about, can everybody truly be authentic? Which is you would think it's a stupid thing, right? Like, at the end of the day, of course, like, we should all be able to be authentic. But I made the proposal that being truly authentic is actually a privilege. And it tends to be a privilege that's only awarded to people who have a certain level of status. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I don't think that like an average employee to this day, even though we wish it was that case, can go in and tell their boss, I'm struggling with these things. or I am who I am. And if it rubs that employer the wrong way, whether they're being authentic or not, they may still get repercussions for it, right?
Absolutely.
Whether they're direct or indirect. And I think it's kind of crazy because I think on one level, and I wanted to really talk with you about this today, is that we are pushing mental health. We are pushing people need to be able to be more open. But I still think that the world is not necessarily welcoming of those things, and that the truly authentic people, the people that you see really being themselves, they had to earn that right. They had to reach a level of status. And I don't think it's fair, but I think it is the way it is. It's like, being truly authentic, being able to truly be yourself is a status symbol.
Yeah, I think it can be for sure. Um, there's so much to unpack with what you said there.
I
But
know.
going back to like the repercussions, I just want to touch on that. So I've facilitated, fire halls, first responders. We talked about mental health. And one of the ways that we created safety so that they could be more authentic was to kick out HR, all their leadership, and just have the boots on the ground. And that fostered, and I'm the third party. So who am I? They can say whatever they want.
Correct.
But the learning that happened and the healing that happened just from then having that space that's psychological safety, right? That's my wheelhouse. And that's what you're always trying to create. Now, no, you can't just go to every employer and bare your heart and hope it all turns out well. We have social platitudes for a reason. We have certain barriers that are useful. So when it comes to when we're trying to be authentic, what we're looking for is acknowledgement and support. Somebody the reassurance that somebody is looking at us as with warts and all, just as a human being.
Yeah.
But when we ask someone at the coffee shop, hey, how's your day going? I'll have a, whatever. We're not looking for their life story. We're just kind of saying hey, you're alive. Me too. Neat. Need a coffee. So, but when we care about somebody and it's really beneficial, to have that information, there has to be something in it for you to be authentic. We're human beings. We're selfish. There has to be something in it for you. If we don't speak to that, you're never going to change minds. You can't just tell people, hey, you should be more authentic.
Yeah.
Why? What? It's way easier to not be if it saves me, a conversation or potential repercussions. So that's the burning question. What's in it? What's in it for me personally to be authentic? I felt very inauthentic for many years and it weighed on me. I'm not without a conscience. I didn't like not showing up authentically, being myself, being honest.
Yeah.
So that was my shift. I'm I think I should move towards that area. And I'm not entirely an open book. I mean, my private life is private and there's things that are sacred in our lives, but connection is a really powerful thing. And it's a snake that eats its own tail. It really breeds itself. And when you can, from a leadership standpoint, I like to teach them I'll go first. If you feel like your team is really closed off from you, you're not getting all the information that you need to run the business or be a leader, you have to model what you expect. And that means you might have to go first. Doesn't mean you have to share your entire life story like I just did, but maybe you have to share something. That's how you build trust. That's how people look at you and go, okay, you're a human being. I don't want to be put on a pedestal, Kelly. I have many flaws, we all do.
We all do.
But that's important sometimes just to find it within yourself and practice. I'll go first.
Yeah. I love it. As it's so funny because I don't know if you know him. Do you know Brad Warren? He's out of Calgary.
I don't. I know the name though, but I don't know him.
He owns a company called Our Invisible Empire. He's an awesome guy. But it was funny because we were talking once and his mentor once told him, and it's so relevant to business development. And I'm not sure how we're ever going to truly get away from it. But he mentioned that Mickey Mouse can never have a bad day. And I always quote Brad when I say that because that is his line. But he says, Mickey Mouse can never have a bad day. If you're at Disneyland, Mickey Mouse is having the best day ever, no matter whether the person inside that suit is having, the worst day they've ever had.
Right.
And I think as a business developer, I clawed my way through my career to where I'm at today, being able to put on that smile, that face,
it's a costume.
Even though behind it, I might be having the worst day ever. I might have just lost a friend. I might have just had, lost a whole bunch of money in the stock market or whatever. I'm having a horrible day behind the mask, right? But when it was time to hook up for those meetings, when it was time to show up in the boardroom, when it was time, I had to learn how to put on a brave face. And I think so many people to this day, and this is what I meant by, can you truly be authentic? Because as a business developer, you can't really show up to that boardroom wearing your face, how you're wearing your feelings on your face, right? Like people are not, and it's unfortunate, but people are just not receptive. If you show up in a room and you're crying or
Yeah.
you're having a moment, right? I don't know. Do you think we'll ever get there?
Yeah. Again, I don't like to frame anything as like a destination, but what I do see happening is that there's some real benefits to showing up authentically, even
Yeah.
if you're in a leadership position. There's a lot of value. Again, like what's in it for a leader to do that? Because
Yeah.
it might be uncomfortable. There might be people who, leading from beside or within your team is a great way to provide opportunity for people to step up. And everybody's waiting for that chance to level up.
Yeah.
So when people lean on me or whatever, and I have the capacity to be there for them, and selfishly, it feels good. And I'm like, hey, I could be there for it. There's the reassurance that maybe they'll be there for you as well. But there's something in it for you to try.
Yeah.
And before that happens, you have to foster that kind of environment. And to be honest, Kelly, I like to think I have a pretty good business reputation and just a personal reputation. I'm not everybody's flavor. And I used to really try to be. And
I think we all do. I think we all
Yeah.
try to be liked, right? No one wants to go into a room and be the person who's not liked.
That's right. But you know what? I like people who, I think a lot of us like people who just kind of walk with their own walk. They can fit in, they could rub shoulders. I could rub shoulders in a machine shop or a C-suite boardroom, right? But I can own both of those things. I can own the Alberta accent that comes out of the side of my mouth after a pint, right? I can I can be that. And I'll be honest with you, Kelly, like straight up between me and you, I had a really tough morning today. What is it, Friday, April 4th? Really tough morning. I had a tough evening and then woke up kind of with the residuals of that and a couple of heavy conversations. And my whole day before this recording was just packed.
Yeah.
And I was a bit on the verge. I have all these regulation skills. And why am I sharing that? Because I can. I don't really feel that anyone's going to judge me for that because we've all had days like that.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to talking with you. But that's the fact. 3 hours ago, I was a bit of a mess. I'm on my second coffee and just my head was swirling. So even just sharing something like that as a leader or a colleague or whatever can go a long way to be like, oh yeah. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm fine. You can add all those caveats too, but just be like, oh yeah, I kind of went through it for a couple hours.
Oh, dude, me too. We're going to talk about it after.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah. But so much of that is just life, right? It's just not always sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes it's a thunderstorm. Sometimes it's a torrential downpour. Sometimes it's a hurricane, but life goes on. I want to go back and just talk with you about that situation. I want to say I was literally 20 when my one friend died from suicide. And I remember I was toast. I didn't even want to get out of bed. He was one of my closest friends, gone all through high school together, right?
Wow.
And and been through a lot of crazy things, right? It was one of those things where it's I should have died probably 6 times.
Yeah.
And when it's somebody it's holy cow, right? And I remember I'd been in bed. I just didn't get out of bed. And it was a week. And my dad came into my room and he gave me the best advice he ever gave me. And he just said, look, you got to get up, Kelly. Today, you got to get up and you got to do the thing you would have done anyway. And today it's going to be hard. And tomorrow it's going to be hard. And the next day it's going to be hard, but you just got to get up and do it. And one day you're going to wake up and it's not going to be that hard. And the next day it's going to be even less hard. And one day you're going to wake up and it's not going to be hard at all, but you got to keep going. You just got to keep going. I still get chills when I think about that.
Great
because
advice. Good man.
What he was saying was your life has to go on. No matter what just happened, your life has to go on. And the secret to doing that sometimes is fake it till you make it, is just get up and do the thing you don't want to do until it's not, until you can do it again,
Well, we talk about modeling, right? So when we have mentors or people we look up to and have behavior modeled for us, as a couple of men, I wouldn't know what any of this looks like if I didn't have a amazing like women in my life. My mom and my grandma, my two best friends were girls in junior high. Like
Yeah.
their communication skills were amazing. We just talked. And then I go to hockey practice and be like, how are we feeling, boys? And they're like, I don't know, itchy. And it's like, so you got to practice, right? But
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
man, we got to build resilience. And like that's left out of a lot of the mental health and wellness space because
Yeah.
it's a bit of a, I don't want to say taboo, but how do you tell somebody to pull up their bootstraps? That's kind of how we like frame it. And it's not about that. It's, you only fail when you fail to try.
Yeah.
And I worked for a guy, a machinist, best machinist I ever worked for, last 6 years of my tenure. And that was his favorite saying. We took on work that no one else would touch. Highest risk, worst steel to cut, like just gross R&D stuff. And the risk was so high. And no other shop would touch it. And he was like, yeah, give it to us. And we were 4 guys in that shop. And he's like, we only fail when we fail to try. So that I think about that sentence every day. And I feel like your dad was kind of in that same mindset because it does get easier. And it's always worse in our minds too. I ruminate lots. I spend too much time in here, right?
Yeah.
But out there, everybody's just winging it. We're all trying our best.
We're all winging it. At the highest boardroom level, we are all winging it. I think that was one of the most surprising things, as I became an executive myself, was that I realized that all these people, they're just doing the best they can. They don't have all the answers. They're just trying to move forward, right? I think that was really surprising because as a kid, I think I looked up to executives, especially as just a worker, and being like, those guys have all the answers. They know exactly.
Totally.
And it's like, once you get old enough to be in that room, you're like, oh shit, they don't have the answers either. We're all just doing the best we can and hoping
Ask
for
any
the best.
parent. Right? Every parent will tell you that too. It's like, oh, my parents seemed so smart until I got to grade 3 math. And then, but that's good to remember, right? Is we're all just trying our best. And that is enough. Like your best day today is putting pants on. Like you can celebrate that.
That's right. I got my pants on today. Things are going to happen.
I put pants on for you, Kelly. I'm like proud of myself. If camera falls off my monitor here, we're okay. So
it's funny because, when I talk to you and I think back to 2007, 2008, right? And it's like, I was 18 at that time, 19 just about. I guess you would have probably been in your 20s.
Yep.
And I just remember like growing up in Alberta in that time. And I think me and you are both a product of the exact same generation, that, Alberta strong generation, right? Just shut your mouth, put your nose to the grindstone and get her done. And a lot of that was suck it up, buttercup, right? Like that was really the motto of this place. And I don't know if that was the motto of all Canada, but it was definitely the motto of Alberta. And I used to pride myself, Kris, on being tough, on being able to suck it up, on being able to push through even the hardest stuff.
Yep.
Just like think back to, right? Like you're right. Like I think there's still points of pride just growing up in that time to being able to be like, you know what, today sucked, or I'm dealing with some really horrible things, but I was still able to show up and get her done and move this business forward, move my client forward, whatever it is, show up for my family that day, whatever the point is. And I guess my question to you is that still what we're doing? I don't know, man. Like sometimes I wonder what was the right move. Was that not the right move to be able to just push through and get things done and be tough? Like, or was it just overwhelmingly negative?
No, man. I love that question. I'll tell you about a conversation I had with my dad. So him and he was this guy I looked up to. He was tough. And, when I grew up playing hockey, I was tough. I was a stay-at-home defenseman. I hit, I fought, I scrapped, I played a whole season with a shoulder that fell out every game. A whole season. I heard it in the first practice of the year. And my dad, would send me back out there and pop it back in. He didn't know how. He's like, I don't figure out. We were sitting on Christmas Eve a few years ago. I don't think I've ever told this story publicly, but this was monumental in our relationship. And the girls had all gone to bed and we're up drinking rum. We're a few in. And I was reminiscing about the hockey days because that's when we really bonded.
Yeah.
And, I said, Dad, there were some times I'd try out for a team, didn't have a good tryout, and the van ride home would be really silent and heavy, and he was disappointed. But I said, you really brought out the best in me. And I know that it wasn't maybe in the best way. It was the way that only knew how. But I said, you really pushed me. And I knew I was the best hockey player I could be. I was the toughest I could be. And he puts his rum down and he started crying. And I'm trying not to right now, but it was really beautiful. I'd never seen him cry. And he gets up and he stands over the sink. And I walk over to him. I said, "What's going on?" Like, "No, it's okay, Dad. Like, you really put some of those good values in me. I know." And he shook his head. He's like, "No, Kris." He's like, "No." He's like, "I'm sorry." And I'm still trying to reassure him. And I'm like, "No, I think some of it was help me toughen up a little bit." And he said, "I was too tough." He's like, "I was too tough too often." And we never talked about it again. One of my favorite moments of humility from him. So all that to say, to answer your question, I think it's important to test our mettle. And our proverbial envelope changes. We grow over time. Sometimes I'm resilient in ways that, Kelly, you might crumble, and vice versa, right? Some people don't like flying, but they're great on a boat. I have no sea legs, but I love planes. Our fear is we do need to know where our limits are. And it's just that inventory. It's just information.
Yeah.
So even if you don't overcome something, you know where you're at. And that's empowering. And you know where to get up to next time to try it again.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Let's talk about parenting for a second.
Yeah.
I am not the parent I thought I was, or I thought I was going to be. That's the right word. Holy crap, am I not the parent I thought I was going to be?
Go on.
I look back to being a kid and thinking like, oh, I'll be so easygoing. I'll be able to just like let them do whatever they want to do, right? Like I remembered having this conversation with my mom, telling her how much of a better parent I was going to be than her, right? Holy crap, man. Like I am a hard parent and I recognize that. I have 3 older stepsons now. They're 11, 9, and 8, and they're a handful. I have a newborn who's a little over a year old.
Wow.
And we have one on the way, right? And it's just like, oh man, I don't even know. Like I don't know sometimes how to parent in a softer way, even though I want to be able to parent in a softer way. It's like World War III a lot of the time in our house, right? And it is hard. Like, let me just give a gigantic shout out to every father out there, every mother out there who's come before us, who are hearing this right now. I'm right there with you. Parenting is flipping hard, and making the right decision is really hard. And I think being able to be a compassionate parent as often as possible it is a choice, but it's a damn hard choice to make. My fiance is so much of a better parent than I am, thank God. But I'm working on it. But like the reason I'm saying this right now is because I heard what you said about your father, and I don't want to have to say that to my kid. And yet I feel like one day I'm going to have to say that to my kid.
I'm going to push back on you a little bit just because we're friends. So you're a great parent. Every parent has their own style, and you're doing the best that you can too. But the way that there's probably some similarities to the way that you were brought up as to how you parent. That's the only model you have to go on aside from like YouTube and Facebook chats. And don't do that. So but you found a partner who complements your style. Yeah. And, I don't think there's one better or worse, but it's the blend that they'll be thankful for, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I think every parent, as perfect as they could be, could always sit down across from their kid 20 years later and apologize for something.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't sweat, what it looks like day to day. It's hard, right?
It is.
And shout out to step parents and caregivers as well.
Yeah.
Because they don't get enough love either. And, my stepmom and dad, like I love them both so much, and we didn't always get along, but I respect that they were trying their best too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's definitely the hardest job. Parenting is harder than any other job, bar none, period. Like, it is just hard, and it's never ending, and it's relentless, right? Like, it's just...
It doesn't pay great, but there's
it doesn't pay great, no.
It's expensive, actually. It's like when I played in a band. It was very expensive to do what I love, too, so...
Kris, you've done something really incredible, and hats off, man, hats off. You went from... You did a very interesting pivot, man. Like, let me just start off by saying, I know there's people listening who are thinking, wait, you were a tradesman for a decade and then you completely did something different? Not to mention, went out on your own, founded your own company in a completely different industry, right?
Yeah.
There are entrepreneurs and people who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs or maybe are making that jump right now who are hearing this story, Kris, and thinking, how do I do that? How do I, let's say they're an electrician and they want to be a mental health expert or they want to do a complete career change and maybe found a company with something they're more passionate about. Not many people can say that they've done what you've done, Kris. And I can say that right now. At this point, I've interviewed, 200 people. And this has come up like a pivot this big, maybe once. It's not something you see every day. Please, for the people listening who want to make a major life shift, how did you do it?
I really appreciate that, Kelly. When you put it like that, it gives me pause, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty neat.
It's a big shift.
As an entrepreneur, like I've had my head down for 4 years. Like I was all in. So I was on EI, and with no inclination or hope, I didn't want to go back to the trades. I was kind of done. I was all in. And that's a great motivator, but I wouldn't recommend it. If you could do a little bit more planning ahead of time, that would have been great. But two things I think served me really well, and you got to get lucky too. But one of them was just recognizing how people saw me and kind of going after that and thinking there was something to it. And what I mean by that is, I was just a guy on Twitter who was talking about mental health once in a while. I post pictures of my dog and like just life, but it was just me. It was that authenticity piece. I felt very free. And people would hop into my DMs and they'd be going through some real things. And these are internet strangers.
Yeah.
I don't have kids. I love kids, but I just had different plans. So I would spend my evening like just chatting with strangers or talking about things, connecting with them. Like I really loved that.
Yeah.
And when people see you and you start to recognize, okay, people see me as like maybe a safe person, somebody who has some knowledge in an area, and they're coming to you for that consistently, that's a clue on something that you're skilled at, but maybe something you can pursue. And, I don't think I'm going to be an NHL player anymore, as bad as I want that. But it did help me with all the options out there, like focus in on, well, I think I am good at connecting or teaching and, I'm patient and that sort of thing. So it sort of led me to say, okay, I think I could do something in the mental health sphere.
Yeah.
But starting a business was terrifying, man. Like I took out 2 lines of credit. I also broke up with my partner at that time.
Wow.
And moved out on my own. We're still great friends, but it was just COVID had a lot of impact, right? But anyway, left my best friend and I went for it. So anyway, I was fully leveraged and, I had about 20K. I did, my psych health and safety training through CMHA, gave me a little designation. It's a certificate, but it gave me some expertise that I could build on my creativity. And so anyway, what was Kris at that time? I was a musician. I was somebody who could connect with people. I love to create. I love to just try my best with everything. I'm fun at Monopoly, by the way, super fun. So I went for it and I believed every day that I would fail. But there were people who I recognized as like mentors, people who genuinely, liked me as a person or just wanted to help. And I gave them all the time to learn. I said very little in that first year and a half.
Yeah.
And I watched how people approached me and they wanted like a lunch and learn on men's mental health or something like that. And I just tried my hardest. I'm like, you only have one shot. That damn Eminem song was like always playing in my head.
Yeah.
And every opportunity was such a gift and a privilege. People are giving you their time, which is the most valuable thing that we have. So I treated everything like a privilege and I still do. So I was intentional about a couple things, Kelly, like workplaces, communities, and classrooms. I'm like, I think I can offer something to each of those. I could have picked a niche. I just do workplace mental health or I just do not-for-profit community stuff. But I'm like, no, that wouldn't be fulfilling. I like variety. But 2, I felt like I can contribute to all of them. So what's the risk there is that people would see me as a jack of all trades, master of none. I was willing to take that risk. I'm like, what if I achieve at a high level, deliver at a high level for all 3? So that's what I set out to do. And word of mouth and connecting with people was all I've done since. And, we have clients that are multinational, big clients across Canada. I had a meeting with Hockey Canada this morning. We just worked with them and, like how grateful am I? Like every day, it's just awesome. But I work harder now than I ever have in my life.
Yeah.
And we we didn't really dive into like the stress and burnout of it, but I'm sure on almost all of your podcasts, like it comes up
Yes.
in the entrepreneurial space, and that's a real danger. I've burnt out for sure. I teach these workshops on burnout, and I have ran myself into the ground twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not without its risks, and you need good people around you to recognize when you're in that danger zone. And like I said, when people are given the opportunity to help, it's shocking. They can't wait to step up because they feel important. They feel valued. So why wouldn't you utilize those relationships and ask for help? I had to teach myself that because I've done everything myself my whole life.
Yeah.
And that was the real lesson.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. I do it all
Still
myself.
not perfect at it, by the way.
Yeah, no. I don't know. You're right. Like we all have to get better at asking for help. I think we're all pretty prideful. Especially entrepreneurs are prideful. We don't like to admit that we don't have all the answers. We don't like to admit that we need that help, but absolutely, dude. I've hit the wall plenty of times. Like I would say it's a cycle, right? Like it's that up and down roller coaster cycle that is entrepreneurship. But it's interesting because the pivot you made, I wanted to just ask you, was there like a big catalyst moment? Because I think that's what a lot of people struggle with is it's one thing to make the choice to become an entrepreneur. It's another thing to take that first action. And usually that first action really takes a kick in the ass. For me, I got pulled into a room at a company that I worked at for 10 years and got told, we don't know what the next year looks like. It's looking scary. You've been with us a long time. We want to make sure that, we're setting you up for success here, but understand that setting you up for success here might mean that you don't have a job here in 2 to 3 months. So do you have a plan or do you have an alternative option? I launched capital. That was the kick in the butt I needed to do that. And the rest is history. It's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. When I look back, it was one of the best opportunities that employer could have ever done for me. Like I look back at that moment and I still thank my boss to that day for giving me the opportunity to make a choice instead of making that choice for me, which was really cool. They hired me back actually as my first contract as well to kind of help me get on my feet. Like to this day, I owe Engrity Inspection a big thank you for helping me become the person I am today. But I needed the kick in the butt. That was my kick in the butt. Was there a moment for you that was a kick, a catalyst for the switch?
If no one's told you lately, I'm really proud of you, man. That's awesome. That's a great success story too. Wow. Was there a catalyst? I mean, like getting laid off. I was so disenchanted with machining. Like I was napping after work every day. My body was just like, how do you do this every day? And it's not like I'm old. It just like, it takes its toll mentally and everything. Yeah. So when I got that layoff slip, and I was close with my boss and we're both hugging and he was so sad. And I went home and my partner was so supportive. And she's like, well, just like take some time. And so I did. And, I'm on connecting with people and I came up with like a VIV logo. And VIV, by the way, the name, kind of a silly name, but it comes from survive and revive. And that's like two words important to me. So anyway, the catalyst was, it was given to me. I had no choice but to not work and have time to think. And I'm very grateful for that. I was always a guy who like valued security. I never went without a job more than a week, ever. I couldn't afford to either.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know, just something clicked and I'm like, why not me? Like life's short. Like you, I've lost some friends along the way. And the first one is the most impactful, who's like your age or somebody close to you. And you're like, holy cow, like it is really fleeting.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something that I got up every day voluntarily for. And that's to this day, I get up and I can't wait. Like every day is different. And that's been the motivator. But yeah, just having it all taken away from me during COVID.
Yeah.
I was like, well, if you're going to shift, like now would be the time, So.
Well, that's it, right? Like mine was the same. Like me and you both launched our companies in 2020. Like it was that moment. It was the catalyst of that wild moment for sure. But I think it changed a lot of lives. A lot of people started podcasts, like you mentioned. A lot of people went out on their own. I've interviewed plenty of people who started their companies in 2020. I think it really was a kick in the butt for a lot of people to do something different. And I hope a lot of people made a choice that they're happy with.
Me too. But you know what? Again, just to try. To do something totally for yourself is so liberating and empowering, and it's wild, and you're in it, and you're like, oh my gosh, you have those moments where you're like, I can't believe I get to sleep in on a Tuesday, and like 'cause my first meeting's not till 10:30 or whatever. There's all these little gifts and privileges along the way, and I was very fortunate, Kelly, that I'm still doing my first try 4 years later.
Yeah.
And 4 years from now, like who knows? But
it all changes. Yeah.
It can all change.
Yeah.
But the way I set up my company, like I thought of that too. And I said, if I can be as diverse as I can, and like in my intro, I do comedy and music, all that's integrated with our company with engagement, and I do corporate events, and I produce podcasts for the Cross Cancer Institute. I do video production and LMS training, and I keynote. And why not? Why not? And if you do it all well, then like do that. Setting yourself up for success takes some intentionality for sure. And mental health was not sexy in 2020.
No.
Like we were like, if you're talking about workplace training, DEI was the thing.
Yeah.
And it remained the thing for a number of years. There was nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, but very few companies who were like, oh, for sure, mental health, come on in. And I stuck it in my business name, but I'm like, it's so universal. We all have it. And I couldn't say honestly that I predicted, like you did, the AI would push us back to that human connection place. But you were right. And I'm grateful that you were, and that we've ended up here. The pendulum will always swing. Yeah. So how do you keep moving forward and do things that get you up in the morning? So what gets you up in the morning? What's your favorite part of your job?
I love being an entrepreneur, dude. I really do. Just like you, I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this. And then heck, I found podcasting, and you did too. And podcasting has been, I look forward to it, man. Like always. Like has it been hard? Yeah. After we released 225 episodes today, we're recorded almost a full year into the future with our guest interviews. So this is coming out in 2026. But I love it. I absolutely love this experience. I've had plenty of days where I wasn't in the moment, but once again, they're fleeting and far between. I may have a day that I don't want to do my show, but then I'll have 8 days where I love doing my show, this being one of them. And it's funny how it's funny, like you said, how when you find something you love doing, you can't wait to get up and do it. And I think every entrepreneur, that's what you should aspire for. Try and find the thing that you can't wait to get up and do. Will there be hard days? Yeah, but there will be really, really good days if you're passionate about it too.
Totally, man.
And I think that is what entrepreneurship offers that maybe a lot of jobs can't offer, is that when it's your own baby and it's the thing you want to be doing, you could do it all day long and never even question the time.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do it all day long because you got to get paid or whatever. You got to deliver. And
that's right.
There's a trade-off, but you're right. And I don't want to romanticize entrepreneurship too much. Like you and I are examples of success. And we could say, yeah, we worked hard and we deserve it, but we've also been fortunate, and a lot of things have to fall in place. People have great ideas all the time that just aren't ready, or they're not baked the right way. There's all these things. So my advice, even if you don't go all in, get up every day for something. So I did a lot of volunteer work just to connect with people in the mental health community. And I'd go to these little community events or like commemorative this or that, some mental health, VIV Mental Health. And I would just show up and be around it. And I was still machining at the time. But that got me up. It was something of interest. I still jammed with my old bandmates. That got me up. And now I incorporate music. So hobbies are important, but you can always point your needle towards maybe one day there's a monetization that could happen with this.
Well,
maybe.
And you also mentioned early on that it's always a work in progress, right? Like, sure, we're successful to a level, but it's a work in progress. And tomorrow is going to be a different day. And if I stop doing this stuff, I'm out of luck too, right?
Yes.
It's about getting up and taking one little step towards whatever it is you want to do.
Put your pants on.
That's it. It might be as easy. Maybe that's the win for the day. Maybe the win today is that you got out of bed and you put your pants on. And maybe tomorrow you get out of bed, you put your pants on, you make it to the kitchen. And the next day, you step out the front door. It's little steps, right? Like every single journey, entrepreneurship, podcasting, any hobby you may have starts with a single step. You wouldn't know guitar if you never picked one up. Step one was simply picking up the guitar, right? Everything, every journey, no matter how great or how epic it becomes, always started with somebody putting their shoes on and taking that first step. And so I always say, no matter what it is you want to do, just take one step in the right direction. And the next step, it starts to come clear what you need to do.
Totally. Point your needle where you want to go. You don't have to get there like right away.
Yeah.
But if your needle's pointed that way, like you'll always be doing things that speak to where you want to go.
Yes.
And I got to add this part too, because I'm a bit of a cowboy when it comes to saying yes. And I said a lot of yes in my first year, probably to things that I had no business saying yes to. But self-belief and self-worth, that took a lot of practice. To think that I could, there was a lot of like stuff in my head that said I couldn't, or I didn't belong, or like I have no right to be in this meeting or have a client. Like,
yeah.
But I said yes, and I never doubted that I would deliver to the best of my abilities. Hopefully it was to their expectations, but I learned on the fly. I'm sure you did too, a lot. And you look at an ask and you have somebody come to you for something and you're like, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
And that's the tradesman in me is you get farmers coming to the door and he's got this widget. It's all busted and gross. And he's like, can you fix this? And you're like, I don't know, but I'm going to try.
Yeah.
And that works out really often. And even if you fail, you're like we're talking about resilience, you know where your limit is.
Yeah.
So say yes sometimes to things you're like, if you're on the fence, fall on the yes side. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give one more example of a great quote my dad said. And I'd ask him, Dad, do you know how to do this? And he'd say, nope, but I'll let you know how as soon as I'm done.
Love it. Exactly.
That's such an Alberta attitude, right? I'll let you know. I'll know by the time I'm done how we do it.
It juices me up too, because I'm like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. Like in mental health, we talk about that all the time. Like, how do you support someone if you don't have their experiences, you don't have the training? That's what you say. I don't know. Let's and us. I don't know. Let's go find out. I don't know. We should go talk to somebody who does know.
Yeah.
And you don't let them go until that warm handoff is created. But it's the same for business. I don't know, but I'm sure going to try because I learned, I know how to run this business inside and out. I don't want to be, doing all the invoicing or the logistics forever. I would love to build a team that can help me with that and I can manage other things. But my old boss, he's like, I know how to fix the toilet and I know how to pay a bill. And he was on the floor machining over his shoulder, like, as he's telling me this. And I'm like, I like that. You don't have to do it forever, but know how it works. And just
yes. Yeah. And you know what? We live in this time too, where there's enough information out there for you to learn how to do just about anything. The differentiator is the willingness to try, right? Like there's almost nothing I won't try to fix around my home. Am I an electrician? Absolutely not. Am I a plumber? No. But I can fix a toilet, but I can, run some wires if I need to run some wires, right? Like most things are not that hard if you can have an example of how they're done. And we've never lived in a better time to find examples on how to do something.
Yeah.
And so really the differentiator can be the simple willingness to try. And I think that's a great place to leave off today, Kris. But
love it.
Before we do leave off, I want to talk all about VIV Mental Health. Talk to our listeners about all your services, the areas you offer them to, and how they can get a hold of you.
I get the plug at the end. I'm grateful for that. So compassionately, Kelly, it's VIV Mental Health.
VIV.
Survive and revive, my friend.
My goodness. I'm going to have to fix all of this.
And I can't wait for the edits. If you keep it in, I'll buy you a beer. If you take it out, I'll buy you a smaller beer. But anyway, no shade. It's a ridiculous name and people mispronounce it all the time. But you know what? It does let me tell like the quick little story of where the name comes from. And it speaks to our values and everything. So hooray for marketing. So we, like I said, we support workplaces, communities, and classrooms. The workplace side of things, leadership, employee training. We have our own mental health training from stress, burnout. Communication is a really big one. The leadership sides, tons of leadership development. Leading with mental health in mind is our flagship course, and we've boiled it up to like full day workshops, which are really immersive, very interactive, all the way down to LMS. We're developing our own. So the training is there, and the delivery is like my forte because I hate boring training and I hate wasting people's time. So there's a lot of like practical lived experience, like it's really granular. And a lot of our clients come to us for that. You can go to a lot of, there's stuff that's already canned from CMHA or Mental Health Commission of Canada. It's great. They're great courses, but it may not speak to your machine shop. It may not speak to your law firm. It may not. So the customization piece is kind of our forte. And yeah, we do, I'm a public speaker. I do a lot of keynotes. It's one of my favorite parts of my job. Like what a privilege to have people's time and space to talk and inspire and share and model the thing. I don't want to just tell people how to lead better. I want to show them what it looks like. What does it look like to go first? Be vulnerable, things like that. The community side of things is a real source of pride for me. We have the Instrumental Health Therapeutic Music Program, which is like my dream program, man. And like I had a friend, she moved to New York to join Broadway. She came back for a visit. We're sitting around the campfire enjoying things. And she turns to me and says, Kris, I love what you're doing. You should have this thing called Instrumental Health. She's a musician, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I grabbed the domain like the next day. And then 2 years later, we founded this program, and we do it with men in addiction recovery, with seniors, a lot of youth. We're in classrooms, and it's very connection-based. It's empowerment. It's expression. Because I wrote songs that said my quiet parts out loud, and I got the safety to say them on stage.
Yeah.
Under the guise of like, oh, it's a great song, hopefully. And I'm getting all this validation, but I'm speaking my truth. So that's kind of what we teach through that. And then, the classroom piece, we support parents, caregivers. We do teacher learning development, and we support the kids, like go in and connect with them in all ages. So there's a lot of facets. We're moving more into the online course development space now.
Yeah. Which
is exciting, and it's accessible. I partnered with two other knowledge experts, one in neurodiversity and one in DEI. So we formed a company called Median Solutions.
Yep.
And Median is an acronym for mental health, equity, diversity, inclusion, accessibility, and neurodiversity. So it's training that's integrating all of those things.
Wow.
So you don't have to silo all those conversations, but the impact of diversity on someone's mental health and things like that. So things are good. We're excited to continue growing, and our team is growing, and what a gift. It's, it's a pleasure being here too. Like, thanks for the privilege of conversation and the platform. And I love what you do. Like, this is great.
Oh, thank you.
This was a dream of mine too. I would love to podcast. I don't do my podcast as much anymore. I never monetized it. It was kind of a tool. And but I produce a couple for the Cross Cancer Institute. And those are tools that they use in oncology to connect patients with their doctors through conversation.
Cool. Yeah.
But all the things. I love it.
Yeah, it's been a journey, man. It's been, by the time this show comes out, it'll been over 3 years of the BDP, which is pretty friggin' cool.
That's wild. Good for you.
I did not see that coming when I started talking to my wall in the basement, let me tell you.
That's awesome. Hey, I have this great picture in the corner of my bedroom. When I started VIV was my desk, and it was about 4 feet wide by 2 feet deep, tucked in the corner. And that was where VIV started. It like little laptop and this microphone, this one right here.
Yeah.
Same one. And I was just talking to a wall with
pretty cool
couch cushions.
Right. And at the time you're thinking, who in the world is going to listen to this?
Yeah.
And you think that for a while too.
No, what a journey. And it's cool to see where you've come to. That we kind of started in the same era. And I could see how much you enjoyed your work and giving people the opportunity to speak about what they love too. So kudos to that. That's awesome.
It's cool. I've met so many incredible people. Like I that has been the best thing. Honestly, the best thing about having your own podcast is being able to connect with people that you would have just never crossed paths with, and get to make these connections and have these conversations, because they're a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed my time with you, Kris. I love the work you're doing. By the way, you didn't really talk about it, but you're very, very active on social media. And if people do want to connect with you, they can do so over LinkedIn, correct?
LinkedIn's a great place. I treat it more like Facebook. I think,
Yeah.
candidly, nobody's listening, right? People take LinkedIn too seriously. So yeah, pictures of my dog once in a while. I'd be like, it's good for your mental health.
That's
I don't
right.
care. People want to work with people. That's what I discovered.
Yeah.
So I don't have to be everybody's flavor, but you're going to be somebody's. And if they see who you are, they trust you. And they're like, whatever you do, like, I want to be a part of it. And that kind of business development has been really beneficial for me. So our Instagram is pretty lively. I put out the odd TikTok too, and still on X occasionally, but kind of moved away from that platform. But LinkedIn would be the best way to connect and shoot me a message or follow, whatever. Yeah.
Perfect. Like I said, I'll have all the links. There'll be links to VIV. There'll be links to your LinkedIn. You do events too. And I know you have an event coming up. Obviously, it's not relevant by the time you're hearing this show.
It was great.
But you guys do events. And if they need to find events, they'll be available on your website and probably on your LinkedIn.
Yeah,
as well.
VIVmentalhealth.com, and always updating it. There's a resource page. There's ways to connect. You can see my calendar if you want to book a Zoom, but all the information about all that stuff I spewed out earlier is on there. And we're always updating it on the banners, what we're up to and where I'm going to be. Yeah.
Awesome. And obviously we're in Canada, but we have like an international audience. Do you
Cool.
offer international services?
Heck yeah. Yeah. We've had a couple great clients who were like multinational, all the way from like the tip of South America to Europe. We had one company that I was doing a virtual training session for, I don't know, like 13 countries. And it was awesome. So we have no boundaries. And if you're overseas, if you're in Canada, like, I'd love to work with you, connect with you, see where you're at and your people are at, and let's just talk. Yeah. The world is our oyster, my friend.
It is. And if you haven't already got it, Kris is incredible. You're an absolute pleasure to chat with, to work with. And I don't think anyone could go wrong by choosing you to help them support their mental health initiatives. So thank you, Kris, for joining me today.
Thank you. Hey, flattery gets you everywhere with me. So I appreciate it, Kelly, but thanks for the opportunity as well. This was a lot of fun. You're a good chat.
Thank you very much. Until next time, you've been listening to the Business Development Podcast, and we will catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.
For industries like mining, forestry, construction, and energy, downtime isn't just frustrating, it's expensive. For more than 55 years, Thunder Bay Hydraulics has been trusted to repair and manufacture complex hydraulic cylinders that keep critical equipment running. With in-house engineering, precision manufacturing, and decades of real-world experience, they specialize in the kind of complex hydraulic work many shops simply can't handle. And while they're proudly based in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Thunder Bay Hydraulics works with companies across Canada to deliver reliable hydraulic solutions wherever they are needed. Their mission is simple: a relentless pursuit of zero downtime for the industries they serve. Learn more at www.thunderbayhydraulics.com.